Hey there, and welcome back to Utility Sports. We do have a special guest on the channel, Mike Noble from Texas A&M Commerce, a linebacker, NFL draft prospect. Mike, thank you again for joining us.
Thank you for everything y'all are doing for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mike is going through the current, pre-draft process. There's a lot that's going on in his life right now, preparing for his pro day, eventually the regional combine. There's a lot of factors that go into the NFL draft and really getting an opportunity. And part of that is exposure, trying to find an avenue, trying to find a way. Especially when you go to a small school like Texas A&M Commerce, it's a little bit tougher to get some traction, compared to a Clemson, a Georgia, you name it. They have all of the national media attention that you need, but obviously getting some of that exposure is huge. Now, Mike, I want you to tell us, tell our viewers here, what was your journey like getting to Texas A&M Commerce, making the jump essentially to Division 1 level football? Give the viewers a little bit of a background.
So out of high school, I'm from California originally, and out of high school, I went to Western State, Colorado, and I redshirted out there, and ended up coming home and went to junior college, and then had to or sat out a year, and then played in 2019, and then COVID hit at the very end of the spring 2020, and it was kind of a struggle to I didn't really have a great year. I was kind of struggling with some injuries and stuff, just nagging things, and ended up knowing one of my coaches knew our old defensive coordinator at Commerce, and ended up walking on at Commerce in 2020.
Yeah, it's a big step, obviously, taking the journey that you had, prior to that and going on to a nice program, Texas A&M Commerce, obviously who made their own big jump to Division 1 level football. That's a big thing because I know you guys were at the D2 level for
Oh
quite some
yeah.
time. Making that jump to D1 is obviously huge. Now, I there's a lot of ups and downs, going through this process and everything. So, kind of tell us what you've been doing to get ready for the draft, and we'll eventually get into what it's like in terms of your connections trying to get an opportunity.
So right now I'm at school and staying at, like, same house that I've been living in and all that good stuff, and just doing speed training every day, and then lifting weights and just kinda working on combine specific training. Um, and it's kinda funny right now because all of my roommates, they're still on the football team, they were younger than me, so seeing what they're doing in the weight room, and then I come in after they're all done and doing my own thing with our strength coach and our GA strength coach and all that good stuff. It's a little different than football training because you're really working on specific things and trying to get speed and power instead of just getting in football shape. So it's a little different, but I'm enjoying it right now.
Now, have you thought about, outside of training for the draft and everything, there comes some other, office stuff that needs to be addressed, such as, maybe getting an agent lined up and things of that nature. Kind of speak to that. What's it been like for the process there? Who's helping you currently, pick that path of, the best way to go?
So finding an agent was difficult for me. I didn't get any accolades from this season, even though in my opinion I had a fairly good season for especially making the jump to D1 and playing a lot and all that good stuff. But so my speed coach back home in California, his name's Vi Pecco, and he actually grew up with my now agent. We're still going through the paperwork now. Her name's Danielle Salazar, and she's Bruce Irwin's agent. And he hooked me up with her, and then she really liked my film, and she's young and she's hungry and she wants it. And I was really looking for somebody that wanted as much as I did, because at the end of the day, if I signed with a really big if I signed with a big agency or something like that, and I was just their low guy on the totem pole and they weren't working that hard as I was working, I would felt kind of left out. And so I signed with her and we're still going through the paperwork and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it was rough, man, because going to commerce and I talked to this one agent guy. He had just signed with an agency, and he was telling me, he was like, "I really like your film, but his CEO tells him, like, don't even look at small school guys. If anybody hits you up, don't talk to them." And I mean, it's hard. It was hard to get our names out there for all of us. I mean, heck, me, Celeste and Haba, D Walk, D Will, all of us seniors that we knew we had a chance, but it was tough for us to really get our names out there, especially at the beginning, right after season. Um, and our defense coordinator, Coach Kyle Williams, he helped us a lot with all that stuff. He was the one that was kind of pushing all of us, like, "You guys need an agent because you're at a small school, and we don't get the media exposure that everybody else does." And also my linebacker coach, Coach Tyler, he's been there for me ever since he came in here. So, kinda just those people, and then, like, my parents, obviously, it's all new to everybody, and I think that's kinda the weird part because none of us really know what's going on. At least when we were in getting recruited for college, like, it's our choice for where we wanna go at the end of the day. It's not really up to the coaches if they offer us, but for this, it's not really up to us. It's all up to the scouts and the coaches and all the office people to see if, oh, do they want us? So it's kinda weird, but it's interesting, and I'm glad that I signed with Danielle. She's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. I mean, having an agent that you can trust and feel that's going to work as hard as you do in terms of preparation, getting ready for the draft, and just getting general exposure is the biggest key, in my opinion. I think, film's great, right? Film doesn't lie. But the sheer fact of the matter is, when you're at a small school like yourself and aren't getting that media attention, a lot of it falls on an agent having the ability to find an
Mhm.
avenue, find a way of getting in, finding, the right opportunity, which is huge. I mean, sometimes you kind of look at, region by region, right? So, obviously Texas has a lot of really good schools, competitive Division 1 programs, and
Mhm.
sometimes that's a pathway of just being local, right? You have a couple of local scouts maybe checking around some of the smaller schools. I know for the fact that I'm up in Minnesota, and basically we have Minnesota Golden Gophers, and that's the big program.
Yeah.
Outside of that, we got a couple of small, smaller D2 schools, and my alma mater, Minnesota State Mankato, was able to find Adam Thielen from there.
Oh, you went to Mankato. Oh,
Yeah.
Commerce has beef with Mankato for years,
Yeah,
man.
and we
Oh
we
my
could get into
goodness.
that in a little bit, and I was at that game that you're going to refer to, I guarantee it, because that was quite the game. So,
Mhm.
that's another guy, Shane Zylstra, now signed with the Detroit Lions. He had 3 touchdowns this past season in a single game at the tight end spot. It was incredible. So, at the end of the day, it's all about that exposure that you can get and just being at the right place at the right time. Now, so there's going to be some guys that don't get opportunities, and that's just the reality of the situation. Now, let me ask you this. Has your agent like prompted you with the idea of the XFL and the USFL?
She has. I've talked to her about it, and I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to either of that because it's still football and you're still getting paid. And quite honestly, I mean, who doesn't wanna make 50 to 60,000, whatever it is, dollars, and you're only playing for 10 weeks, where a lot of people work a whole year to make that money. And I mean, and now you're seeing a lot of NFL teams taking guys from the XFL or the USFL or wherever they're playing at. Um, and I think the NFL is starting to become more of a they want football players now. They don't want, "Oh, we want the really fast guy or the guy that looks really good," and all that stuff. Like, at the end of the day, you guys need that like, teams need guys that are good at the sport. And I think those other leagues are really showing that there are a bunch of guys that fall through the cracks that are just really good football players. They might not be good at the combine or they're not big and tall and strong or whatever it is, but I really think that it's a great opportunity in those leagues to really still get your name out there. And I mean, with the XFL, The Rock is like one of the main guys, and he knows all about the media. So I think it's a great opportunity with those leagues as well.
Yeah, interesting because we talk about the XFL, the USFL, 2 leagues that are starting to bud now. The XFL had a lot of success in the 2020 season before COVID did cut it short and ultimately put the league on hold for 2 years. But now I'm just kind of looking at it when the USFL started last year, Cavante Turpin from the Dallas Cowboys, star kick
Mhm.
returner, got his opportunity through the USFL, and he had slipped through the cracks, like you had aforementioned. This is a great opportunity for some of these guys if they're not able to make it at the NFL level for whatever reason it may be, or just not getting a chance, period. With these leagues being in such an early startup mode, there's a lot of opportunities there as well to get yourself out there. But your focus right now is on the NFL draft preparation for the draft. So, I'm sure you're trying to go through that process, keep that focus there because that's your ultimate goal. You want to be
Yes,
shooting
sir.
for that. And, however it plays out, then you have to make, crucial decisions as time goes on. So, a lot of
Mhm.
opportunity there. Let's talk about your season here at A&M Commerce. So 70 tackles, 6.5 for loss, 3 sacks, and a pick. Speak on your individual performance this year. What are some of your strengths? What are some things that you're working on?
Well, my biggest strength is definitely being a student of the game. I pride myself on being the smartest guy on the field at all times. And knowing my biggest my biggest thing that I was really good at was knowing where everybody else was supposed to go, and it freed me up to go make a play because I know, oh, he's gonna turn the running back in, or he's gonna make the running back bounce outside, so I should just go outside and just meet him there. And it was a lot of film study and kind of just learning the game. And honestly, my linebacker coach, Coach Tyler, he was a big help in that because he we related to each other a lot because he walked on at Virginia Tech and then led the nation in TFLs his senior year of college. And he uh he was like the youngest uh actual like position coach in college football for like 2 years ago or something. He's a great coach and he's very, very, very smart. And we matched the same mindset of, okay, we know we're not the biggest or the fastest guy, but if we can be the smartest, we can beat the offense there. And I feel like that was my best attribute was I could look at how the offense would line up or right off the snap what they're doing, and I knew exactly where the ball was going to go, and I could just beat the guy there. And it was kind of funny during the season when we started to get going. Um, I would start telling like, our coach would call the play and stuff, and then I would start telling our D lineman or my other linebacker, say, "Hey, this is where the ball's gonna go. If you think you can beat your guy there, do it. But if not, then I'm gonna be there." And I feel like that's just my kinda my best attribute, and the thing I'm working on is it's just speed. The game is so fast, and as you move up levels, that's where it's going. Everybody's getting faster and stronger, and that's, like, the number one thing I'm working on right now is just getting faster and stronger.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with that part of the game, the physicality just jumps at every single level, as you already know.
Mhm.
I mean, it's definitely going to be tough. And the NFL, like you said, they are looking for, true football guys. Now, I think it's kind of tough when you come to regional combine time, the actual combine that the draft puts on. It's tough because you have some of these guys that are running, especially at the linebacker spot. You have some guys in the 4.4s, which is incredible with their speed at their size. And, like you said, a good counterpoint to that is just knowing where the play is going to be, having that mindset of, okay, I know exactly what's happening. I know what my teammates need to be doing. I know what I myself need to be doing. And having that forefront knowledge is so crucial in closing the gap of physicality, right? And
Mhm.
I think a prime example of that this past NFL season, you look at two prospects, right? Trayvon Walker, Aiden Hutchinson, two elite pass rushers coming out of college. Now, Trayvon Walker, from just his combine alone, was enough to springboard him from probably the 25th guy taken all the way to one. And
Yeah.
Aiden Hutchinson had that ability. He had the film to match it, he had the production. It did not matter. This guy just showed up all over the field. And when it came to the actual season, we saw that Trayvon Walker had some flashing moments, but it was Aiden Hutchinson that was the clear and obvious better
Mhm.
pass rusher. So at the end of the day, yes, it's great to have some, physicality, but at the same time, having a smart football player, a guy with a great motor, sometimes goes further. So I
Oh,
think that's just
definitely.
the case in point. You look at a lot of the quarterbacks in the NFL too, having the mental side of it. I mean, it doesn't matter what
Mhm.
position, but I just thought that was, something worth noting that comparison there. Jake's got all hung up in the idea that Trayvon Walker, runs a 4.5 at his size, which is great. But at the end of the day, the true football
He
guys
doesn't
win.
Mhm. They're like, going off of that, um, like, we had I mean, my other linebacker that was in with me, my will linebacker, Demetrius Walker, he's like 6'3", 6 he's like 6'2 and a half, 6'3", like 220. long like, arms, like, go down to his knees, like, you look at him, you're like, "That's an NFL, like, football player." Whatever position he wants to play, he can play it. And he would get frustrated he would get annoyed with me sometimes in the game because I would know the play and I'd tell him where it's going, but I would just ta as soon as the ball was snapped, I would just take off and it would be going his way and he'd be like, "Mike, how'd you beat me there?" I'm like, "Dude, I told you I knew the play and I'm just gonna go make it." Like, and he so that was kind of the fun that was kind of relating back to that. Like, if you can no matter how fast somebody is, if they don't know what's going on, they can't make the plays. So that's kind of where I try to get is if I know everything, then I can go make the plays that I need to make.
Yeah, obviously a lot of film study goes into that. How much time are you putting into each game day?
So I don't keep track of time when I'm doing it, especially this past season. I'm getting my graduate degree right now and all of my classes were online, so and everything's due on Sundays. So I only did football during the week pretty much. And I was doing I mean, the first like Monday, we would rewatch the game from Saturday, and then right after that, we'd start watching their first down plays, and then Tuesday, I would go in and I'd look at every single O lineman and then the quarterback and see if they have any kind of tell, whether it's a run or pass play, like hand up, hand down, foot back, foot forward. Um, and then I'd look at the quarterback, see it does he have a tell for when the ball's actually coming on the snap count? Because quarterbacks they love to do the hard counts and all that stuff, but a lot of them they do something different right when they know the ball's actually going to come.
Mhm.
They do something different. So I do that, and then I also look at, okay, does the quarterback look the way that he's gonna throw the ball right before the ball snapped? Because a lot of quarterbacks, they look around, whatever, and then right before the ball, they look, set hike. So I kind of look at that stuff, and then I move on to, okay, what are their favorite plays on 1st and 10, and then 2nd and 5, and then 3rd and short and 3rd and long. And that's kinda just how I break it down, and I just go through the week in that progression until, like, I know a lot of guys, they, like, wanna watch film, like, right before the game and stuff, but in my head, I know everything I need to know Friday before the game, then I'm just worried about what we have to do as a team. Because at the end of the day, it's more about us than it is about them. So that's kinda how I just break it down and stuff. But yeah, I don't know about hours. I mean, it was a lot. I'll tell you that, it was a lot looking at everything, so
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really good insight there. I mean, just picking up on those certain things, it goes, way beyond somebody that's actually watching the game. They don't realize the preparation that you guys are putting in, right after your previous game and all the way leading up to game day. And there's just so much that goes into it. And like you said, picking up on certain cues for certain plays and tendencies. There's a lot that goes into it that the casual
mhm.
fan would have no idea. Like, how did he know to be at that spot at that time? While it's you watching film and picking up on those little things.
Exactly.
I think we should, get definitely more into that maybe on another episode of what you're exactly looking for, because that's
Mhm.
good stuff there. So now let me prompt you with this. If you are going through the process, right, and you have every single team in the NFL interested in you, what team would you want to go to and why?
So, I'll say 2 teams. So, I grew up a Raiders fan, being in California, and my dad moved to California when the Raiders were still in Los Angeles. I'm from Orange County. So, when they were playing at the Coliseum, he moved to California when he was in high school and became a Raiders fan. So, I've always grown up loving to the black hole. Went to the last Raiders game that was in Oakland. Like, that would be I think that would be a dream come true for, like, all of my whole entire family because they know that how big of a like, my dog back home, my childhood dog is named Raider.
Sure.
It'd be a big deal if I went to the Raiders. Um, and I mean, if I'm being honest, like, I would love to play with somebody like Fred Warner for the 49ers, or Demario Davis with the Saints. Like, I wanna be around other great linebackers, and I wanna be able to learn from them because, like, I'm a big believer in I'm never gonna know everything. So I wanna know, like, okay, what are they really like, before the play, what do they think about? Because I know especially, like I mean, Fred Warner made one of the I don't th I know it was, like, posted as a highlight, but I don't think people understand really what he did, but he, like, hawked down, CeeDee Lamb after being up on the line of scrimmage, and he got a PBU, and when they played, it was 49ers versus the Cowboys this past Sunday, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't think, like, normal people understand how hard that is to do,
Mhm.
and how he knew exactly where he was gonna go and all that stuff, and just stuff like that, I would love to just learn from those guys, if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Yeah, that's
it's
cool. Yeah, I
anywhere
mean,
where there's a
definitely.
great linebacker.
Yeah, right, you always wanna surround yourself with other great players. I mean, a guy that doesn't get enough credit though, Demario Davis, I'm glad you brought him up because he is so incredibly talented. I mean, his ability to go sideline to sideline, he's a smart
Mhm.
linebacker, a guy that's really tough in the trenches too. I think he's one of the more underrated players in the league, period. He's a big reason why, the Saints have a lot of success on defense. I mean, you look at the
Mhm.
advanced metrics and everything. He's one of the top players on that side of the ball, in my opinion, when you look holistically speaking. And
Definitely.
overall, I think he'd be a great mentor.
Oh, yeah. I saw a stat, I think it was 2 days ago, he was in 100% of defensive snaps this past season.
Yeah, that's
And
incredible.
that just doesn't happen
Mhm,
anywhere, and I saw that, I was like, "That is like, the fact that his body could take that is insane, and he was willing to. I mean, everybody wants to play every play, but, like, most teams don't even let you do that, but they just knew,
mhm.
like, we can't take him off the field. So, I that was crazy when I saw that.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, I mean, overall, I think there's a lot of great options out there. Hopefully you're given an opportunity. You just got to crush it the next couple of months. Just absolutely, kill the pro day and obviously the regional combine. And have you had any contact with anybody, looking at around the NFL, whether it's scouts or other coaching staff members? Have you been in contact or have you heard from anybody?
When we were at a couple of us Commerce guys, we went to the College Gridiron Showcase in, Fort Worth a couple weeks ago. Um, we talked to the Jets, and I think the Panthers were there, and, then, like, the USFL Gamblers were there, and then, the Edmonton Elks for the CFL, they were there too.
Right on.
Um, and it was kinda funny because they were like, we were all there was, like, 5 or 6 of us Commerce guys, and a lot of people are like, we were the number 2 defense in the country until, like, week 8 for all of FCS.
Mhm.
And but we're not on any, because we just moved up to FCS to Division 1, we changed divisions. If you look on the, like, NCAA website, it doesn't have any of our defensive statistics on there because we're still on our, like, there's, like, the probationary period where we can't go to the playoffs or anything,
Mhm.
and that's,
Right.
like, part of that. Yeah. So that's part of that deal, is that we can't, like, be in any statistical whatever it is. Um, so it was kinda funny because we're not even, especially now because we can't make the playoffs or do anything, where our names r the Commerce isn't really out there, and the scouts were like, "Where the heck did you guys come from?" Like, all of us, because there's, like, 5 defensive guys there, and they're like, "Dude, like, we're Texas A&M Commerce, like, this is like, come on down." It was pretty funny, so
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy. I still remember when you guys came up to Minnesota, Luis Perez was the
yes.
quarterback at that time, and I remember sitting in the stands there because, it's D2 football. I wasn't expecting a lot of, NFL level players, but I remember watching that and specifically thinking to myself, and this is the only guy I thought during that my whole time at college, like he's going to be for sure an NFL guy at some point. Luis Perez, man, he was absolutely dotting the defense.
Mhm.
Such a smart player, big arm, and it was incredible to watch. Go back. The two teams go back and forth. So I,
Oh,
I
yeah.
was impressed by Luis.
Yeah, no, he was a stud when he was here. Um, I don't know if I or so one of our guys, our starting corner from 2021, Kader Kohu, he starts for the Dolphins, and
Yes.
he was he was a dog this year, but when he was at Commerce, he like, our 2021 season, I don't like, he would take away a whole side of the field. And he
Incredible.
was the first person that I, like, was actually on the field with, and I look at him, I'm like, "He's gonna go to the NFL, and he's gonna play."
Mhm.
And it was very surprising when we all thought he was gonna get drafted, even if it was like 7th round or something. He ended up going undrafted, but he was a freak of nature for any kind of combine drill. He was the fastest. Anytime we did any kind of running for with football, he was beating everybody every
Yeah.
time. And then you get in the game, and I don't think he let up a touchdown at all his senior year. And like literally, I didn't even worry about that side of the field. But if I was on his side, I was like, okay, he's got it. We're good. They're
Yeah.
not even gonna look over there. Like, it was crazy, and I
Yeah.
any team that tried to mess with him, it was just like he just shut him up, like, get a pick or 3 PBUs in a row, and they're like, "Yeah, we're done trying." Like, it was
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah,
So
that is incredible. I remember like when he burst onto the scene this year because you had all the top tier corners. You had Sauce Gardner, Tariq Woolen,
mhm,
all these guys that were having crazy rookie campaigns, and then he came out of nowhere. I'm like, man, I did not scout him at all because normally I go really deep into the scouting reports. I get to at least guys that are in the fifth and sixth round, and I'm like, God, I do not recall seeing him anywhere.
yeah.
But wow, gosh, I mean, he had such an incredible rookie year. I think it was all the way up through the end of November. He still hadn't allowed a touchdown to that point. Just
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, he's a stud, and we we give a lot to him. Like we're always talk about him 'cause we're like he's the one that, especially recently, that put Commerce on the map a little bit. Like now, like we are our coaches know that okay, we at least know the Dolphins are going to come to your pro day
Yeah.
because they want they're going to try to get another cater out of us.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's really cool though. I mean, just having those guys, pave the way to the NFL, and obviously Miami is going to be a team that will be looking at you closely, considering they already had one stud come out of there. I mean, who knows? Maybe one of you guys really can step it up and provide that same impact for them. But overall, I just wanted to conclude here, say thank you again for coming on. Everybody that's watching, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, leave a like on today's video if you did enjoy the content. Had a lot of fun with Mike here on the channel. Follow him on all of his socials. I'll put that in the link in the description. Thanks again for stopping by, and we'll catch you in the very next Utility Sports video.